A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the Teachers Awareness session of CENTA's webinar series for teachers. I hope all of you are keeping safe and staying healthy. The topic for today's webinar is building an innovator mindset in the classroom, Youth Ideathon 2022. And the facilitator for this session is Mr. Sanjeeva Shivesh. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Mr. Sanjeeva Shivesh is a co-founder of Think Startup, India's first dedicated school of entrepreneurship for schools. He teaches entrepreneurship, design thinking, and innovation at several universities, including Singapore Management University, MDI Gurgaon, FMS Delhi University, IIT Delhi and TERI University. Mr. Sanjeeva is an alumni of IIT Delhi and Cranefield University. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Before I hand over the session to the facilitator, I would like to inform all the teachers that they will receive participation certificates for the session. So please do fill out the feedback form that will be shared with you towards the end of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Harsha, and good afternoon to all the teachers who are attending this webinar. And as you can see, the theme of today's topic is building an innovator's mindset in the classroom. I'm Sanjeev Shivesh, and my email ID is there for your reference. If you have any question, please do reach out. This is in context of this whole session is in context of something which is very interesting going on. And I want to draw your attention. Youth Ideathon is India's largest festival of innovation for school students, which Think Startup and CENTA are together organizing in association with MEPSC, which is a Sector Skill Council, Bajaj Allianz, CBSE, IIT Roorkee, IIT Delhi, Cambridge University Press, CED. So multiple organizations have become part of this, and in this, that's the context. And the first thing that I want to discuss today is how do we build an innovator's mindset in the classroom. There are two parts to my presentation. The first is, of course, about building innovators' mindset in the classroom, and these are the three session objectives, which is to discover practical ways to encourage a spirit of creativity and innovation in classroom. So we are all teachers, we are educators, and teaching happens in a particular manner, and perhaps those manners which were designed in the industrial age, perhaps those manners would require tweaks, changes, because we are now in 21st century. All of us talk about 21st century skills. We are living in the age of NEP 2020, and those are the drivers which are actually changing we educators on this theme of creativity and innovation. Second is, how do we incorporate innovation education in our subject teaching? And finally, the real reasons why we are doing all this is we really, as teachers, want to develop innovators mindset in our students. So friends, this is the broad reason why we are here. Now there's a second part to my presentation, right? The context of whatever we are doing is Youth Ideathon. So I'm going to talk about Youth Ideathon, and I'm also going to talk about how you as teachers could become partners to Youth Ideathon and what's there in Youth Ideathon about you, right? So that's the thing. Now, before I move forward, and I can see there are a lot of teachers who are watching, you can use the chat box to give your answer, right? So on your chat box, I have a question for you. What percentage of 5-year-old children are of genius IQ level, right? There are 5 options: A, B, C, D, E. 5%, 20%, 40%, 80%, 95%. Whatever you wish to answer, please put your answers there in the chat box. And Harsha, if you can, capture the answers, I'll be very grateful. Whatever answers come. So I'm looking for answers in the chat box from all the teachers.
Sure, sir.
Friends, so in the chat,
95%.
so most people are saying 95%. So that's one answer. Thanks very much. So I have a follow-on question, friends, which is what percentage of 40-year-old are of genius IQ level? Right, so this is question number 2, and you can repeat the answer, you can give the answer once again for question number 2. What percentage of 40-year-old are of genius IQ level? 5, 20, 40, 80, 95? And Harsha, I'll look for your guidance once again.
Yes, sir.
Any indicative?
20% they are telling, sir.
So most,
96%, 20%,
yeah, so most the answer
40%.
that we are getting here most frequent is 20%, maybe 40%, right? And for the previous question, the answer was 95%. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I asked this question. This was a question which was posed by the researchers at Harvard University, and the findings were something which was which astonished everyone, right? And if you can look at my screen, if you can look at this graph tells a story, right? And this graph tells us that in the sample set of more than 1,600 people across different age groups, about 98% people, 98% of the 4 to 5 year old, they were of the genius category, whereas only about 2% of adults like me was of the genius category, right? And what is also telling is the declining IQ level as we move ahead with age, right? And this is something which was which the telling part of this research, that why is it that creativity or geniosity keeps on going down with age, right? So friends, if you are still there with me on the YouTube chat, I am looking forward to your response. Why does the genius level go down with age, right? So I'm looking for your answers, and Harsha, if you can take one or two responses, it would be great if you
Sure, sir.
can. Yeah.
Sure. Sir, you need to, you are not moving the slides, sir, right now. The slides are not moving.
Slides are not moving. I'm
No,
surprised.
sir.
Is it moving?
No, sir, it is not moving. Only the
It's
first
not
slide it is
moving.
there, sir.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Okay, let me try again. Stop screen share. I'm
Yeah,
sharing the screen once again.
yeah.
Share screen.
Few of the teachers are telling lack of knowledge, not thinking, we stop thinking differently.
Right. Can you see my screen, friends? Is it visible, Harsha?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So, lack of knowledge, not thinking, any other reason, lack of knowledge. Now, it's very interesting, teachers. It's assumed that once we become adults, we are more knowledgeable, and kids who are, they are less knowledgeable. Yet, the level of IQ declines. So, what's going on here? Why is IQ declining, or take creativity as a marker of IQ? Why is it declining? Any quick thoughts? I'll take one more or two more points. Harsha, if you're getting something interesting, please do share.
Yes, sir. They are telling not able to focus towards learning. Irreflexes reduces, not accepting the uniqueness of each child
Hmm. Very
at the
interesting,
age.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
as the age increases, the focus and concentration on a particular thing decreases.
Fantastic, right? So this is the reality of life, right? And the reality of life is that we become judgmental. There's something called mental conditioning, and then we start saying that, okay, this is right thing, this is wrong thing. Whereas when we are child, we are little unafraid. We are okay to explore things. And the word which has come more often than all the lectures that we have done is the word called curiosity. Can you see my slide, friends? The curiosity slide,
Yes, sir. It is visible to us.
right? Great. So slides are moving now. So curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning, and as we age, curiosity stops. But there's another interesting finding which is there for all the educators. If you can see this age band, 4 to 15, this is the time when people spend most often in schools, and this is also the time when the creativity dips from 98% to 12%. Now, one of the things that people asked after they looked at this thing, that what's going on in school? Why is school killing creativity? In fact, there's a lovely TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson, how schools kill creativity. And this is something that I really want all of us to ponder, right? There could be many reasons. It's not that the schools are really killing creativity, but something is going on in society which is or in schools which is asking people to ponder on that question, right? So friends, I really want to take you to few more questions. And is my screen visible to all of you? Great. So the question is, what is entrepreneurship? Is it option A? Is it attitude? Is it a DNA thing, or it's an aptitude, a skill? Any quick thoughts, Harsha? You're my anchor there. If I can see, what is entrepreneurship? Quick, A or B? And I can replace entrepreneurship with innovation. Is it a DNA thing, or is it a skill thing?
Sir, most of them are answering it is a skill, sir. B.
It's a skill, right? And this really tells me that I'm in the group of teachers, right? When I'm sitting in the group of innovators, most of these guys or girls, they think that entrepreneurship and innovation is a DNA thing. It's a gene. If you do more research, you're going to find the entrepreneurial gene. The good news is that the world has still not discovered the entrepreneurship gene till date. And what world has really discovered is entrepreneurship is aptitude. It is a skill. It can be learned, and there are certain learning blocks, the building blocks to entrepreneurship. And as we move forward, I'm going to talk about those building blocks. Now, finally, for teachers out here, I'm asking one more question. What does teaching entrepreneurship in school mean? What does teaching innovation in school mean? Is it building entrepreneurs' mindset? M here stands for mindset, or option B is building entrepreneurs, right? Building entrepreneurial mindset or building entrepreneur. Any quick indicative answer, Harsha?
Uh, 1 minute, sir. Need to.
A or
They're telling
B?
A, sir. A.
A. Fantastic, right? So that's the good news, which means that if we all believe here as teachers that mindset can be built, it's not about building innovator or entrepreneur, but if we build the right things about entrepreneurship or innovation, then it is possible to build a whole class, a whole generation of innovators and entrepreneurs. So the question is, so for all of us, is what is this thing called innovators mindset? What is this thing called entrepreneurial mindset? Any quick answers? What is this thing called innovators mindset or entrepreneurial mindset? Anyone who wants to talk about? Now this is something, the core of my talk today. Now, what research tells us is this innovator's mindset can be broken into two large pieces, right? And I'm going to talk about those two large pieces. One is this whole thing about call this axis as creativity, right? To have a creative bent of mind, right? So being creative, being and the other is completely about a disciplined work ethics, right? So these are the two axis. And if you really break down innovators mindset into these two axis, a lot, you can deconstruct a lot about how to build this new class of innovators in your classroom. So if I have to plot a axis called a dreamer axis, dreamer means a creative axis, and I plot another axis called a doer axis, which is about which is the disciplined work ethic axis. And if I plot this into a classic 2 by 2, which means this means high, this is low, this is high, this is low. So typically we find that people with high innovation quotient lie at in this box, which means that they are high on dreaming, they are high on creativity, and they're also disciplined workers. Now, there's a lot of myth that if I'm a dreamer, if I'm creative, then I'm not action oriented, right? But think in terms of of this guy called Leonardo da Vinci. He was a solid dreamer and he was also a solid doer. So think in terms of APJ Abdul Kalam, solid dreamer and solid doer, right? So innovator's mindset is all about honing the creative skills and also honing the disciplined action skills, right? So it is right, a lot of people who are full of action and low on creativity, right? Full of action, low on creativity, they will fall here, or full of dreaming and low on action, they will fall here, and they do not become innovators. So innovation, building an army of innovators means trying to build these both the skills that I talked about. Now this is the same thing this that I'm talking about, but the real challenge that we figured in our interaction with lots of educators and teachers was when we asked this question, why are you not able to build a creativity mindset, right? And the real answer that kept on emerging again and again was that there's a risk, right? People are afraid of this word called risk, right? And when we started thinking about this whole word called risk, we realized that people said that risk means a fear of failure, right? Risk means loss of reputation, fear of failure, right? Why I don't try doing innovation is because of fear of loss of reputation, right? Fear of unknown. Why I don't try out new things is, it's there in my head, but there's a Hindi word which is called log kya kahenge. I'm sure some of you who are watching this from India, right? You understand log kya kahenge, right? So we are afraid not about our ability, but about what the society is going to talk about, to pass a judgment about us. So we are really afraid of all the judgments which is being passed on by society. Now, that is the biggest stumbling block, right? So friends, I move forward again, and here's a question for all of you, right? And this is a little harder question. I'm not sure how we are going to interact on the screen, but Harsha, if you can relay what people are writing. So question for all of you is, of course you can see a matchbox here, and when you see a matchbox here, a lot of us, we are able to relate, when you lighting of match and the fire that comes out of it. Now there are various connotations of this lighting of fire, right? It's a nice bright spark, right? It's also, it can be a whole fire which can light the forest, right? And there are various images that all of us start getting when we just see a thing called matchbox. Now the question is, I'm discussing what is risk, and in that context, I put this matchbox in front of you. But now I really want all the friends to look at the screen, which is a little more, a hard question that I really want to ask. So here's a small child, right? You can see a baby. Now you can also see baby holding this matchstick, a matchbox, and then there is a toy here. You can see there's a toy, and in this toy there are two fan blades. This toy is of a toy fan with a blade, and the blade is near the child, and there's a torch here, right? Now, to everyone on the screen, and give me real answers. And Harsha, you'll have to help whatever people are
Yeah, yeah,
putting.
yeah. For the first one, they are telling ignite the spark in the young mind.
It's called
Igniting.
igniting. So one answer that we are getting is igniting spark in the young mind, right? So something is going to happen here in this mind of this child, right? So igniting spark, right? That's one interesting answer. We are discussing risk. What's going on? What happens when you see a very small child with a matchstick in his hand? You're happy? What's the first action that you want to do? And you see
Procrastination. Sir, one of the teachers
procrastination.
says procrastination. Yeah.
And procrastination, I'm just trying to figure out why procrastination, but I'm writing down. But what will be your response when you see a child holding matchstick and a blade fan in front of you, right?
A
Will you
few
allow
teachers
it
are
to?
telling, yeah, few
Yeah,
teachers are replying risky experience, ready to learn. The child is not afraid to explore danger.
yeah,
Take it away. Try to
yeah,
explore
danger.
the world. Take it away from his hands.
Take it away, take it away, just jaldi, just take it away, right? Because it's dangerous, take it away, right? And we as teachers, if we are teacher of this kid, right, we are chances are very high that because of various societal pressures, very nudgy parents, and parents who will be asking everything, how can you give this matchbox to a kid and all that, we will want to take this matchbox away, right? And while we are ready to take this away, the real thing is that in some manner we are stopping some form of learning, right? The matchbox is a form of curiosity, because the child is a child, and when the matchbox is closed and when you shake the matchbox, he or she is able to hear nice sound. And then what the kid does is tries to open with the matchbox with in any way whatsoever, by through his mouth or by holding it through a hand, and then you take out the matchstick. And the child is only trying to learn, is only trying to quell his curiosity, right? But then we as adults whose minds have been doctored, we are able to see danger in this, because we are able to see fire, we are able to see blade here, and with this blade we are also able to see that something might happen to the kid. The first thing that we do is we are able to take all these things away, right? And the real challenge for all educators is, how do we balance this whole fear psychosis of taking things away versus this learning mindset, where we really want a child to explore things, right? To see things, the bright spark that can lighten up the mind of a kid. How do we balance between these two things, right? And this dilemma, this small example that I'm trying to show you through this picture, this presents itself in multiple ways in our classroom, right? This was only an extreme example, right, where we are able to see that there's a blade here and someone's hand would get cut and there's a light happening and all that. But we as teachers, we are so much engrossed in this danger mindset that very often we become very directive, and we stop curiosity. And the real reason why I'm putting some time here is to make you aware that there's a learning involved, and what are the ways in which we can encourage this learning to happen in our classroom. Now, typically, the real hard thing, or the question that I want you to focus is, how do we develop risk taking in classrooms, right? Because classrooms have become places where risk taking has really gone down, right? We are engrossed in our courses, we are engrossed in 5 learning concepts to be taught in the classroom, and then we are directive and we say, do it like this, aise karo, right? So risk taking is something which goes for toss inside classrooms, and if there's no risk taking, then there's no innovators mindset which is possible. Now, essentially, friends, I hope you're able to see this image. Can you see the image, everyone? This is of a person who's doing rock climbing and trying to climb a mountain. And when the person is trying to climb the mountain, I'm sure you can see the risk, right? You can see that the mountain is very high, it's steep, and this guy is so far away from the floor that if this person falls, that is a risk, right? And when we see all this, then we are gripped with this fear, as I said, fear psychosis, and then we say, no, 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 risk taking is possible. But in reality, people who do mountain climbing, right, they have learned the art of mitigating the risk, right? So you develop risk taking by building all the blocks through which you can mitigate the risk, right? So, for example, if the risk is this high, right? It's not that a person who is standing here is going to fall from here to here. It's not going to happen, right? If you develop right risk mitigation mechanism, then this person can fall only one step down, or maybe only two steps down. And the fall is not all that steep where a person is going to break bones and all this sort of stuff, right? So essentially, the entire art of risk taking inside classroom is to develop a systematic step by step process where students, when they are doing the risk taking, they are not going through this whole journey of a big fall, rather fall of small steps, which is not as dangerous as we perceive it to be, right? And that's something that I really want you, I would really want all of you to start thinking and ask yourself, how do we develop our lesson plans where we allow risks to be taken, and these risks can also be mitigated through a step by step process, right? Now, different subjects, different teachers, they have been able to build this risk taking in different manners. So we run from Think Startup entrepreneurship and innovation courses inside schools, and we are sort of working with teachers where we allow risk taking to happen inside classrooms. From far away, it might look like a very high risk, but there are processes developed for students where if they fall only one step or at max two steps. It's not, it's not as if there's a huge failure. It's not as if there's a super loss of reputation. It's only a controlled failure, and if someone fails, it's good to fail, right? So how do we actually develop a mindset where failures can be celebrated, right? Now, the real challenge with the modern classrooms and the industrial way of education is any sort of failure is despicable, right? We really hate those failures. We really look down upon those failures. Not only we as teachers, parents, and it's a societal problem. Now, the real thing that we want all teachers to do is to coach students and their parents, more than students, their parents, that failure is okay, right? It's okay to fail. Failure is fail. The word fail actually stands, if I have to do the full form of fail, there's a nice full form of fail which is called first attempt in learning. FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. So failure is okay. Failure should be celebrated. And when you start celebrating failure in classrooms, we are only educating all the ways in which people make mistakes. And when you tell people all the ways in which people make mistakes, you're only educating them not to do similar mistake in future. So those are the things that we want you to incorporate in your lesson plans, right? And when you start incorporating those things, then what happens is students are happy to fail, right? We have to create environment where it's environment which is conducive for students to fail. People are happy failing, and then out of each of those failures, the learning is very high. In fact, when we work with teachers like you, what we have discovered is teachers who have failed more often inside classrooms, they are able to impart better quality of learning experience for students than teachers who really do not want to fail inside classrooms. So, friends, I leave you with this thought: developing risk taking. That is the secret of building entrepreneurial mindset, right? I gave you the example of a small kid with matchbox and that fan, and we ran this experiment, and uh, students of class 2, they were able to break that toy and the matchbox, and they were able to create a small drone out of the matchbox. And those sort of solutions are possible. Finally, I have a question, and Harsha, if you can help me. There's a word in English, and it's called achiphobia, right? Anyone who wants to have a try, achiphobia. Achiphobia is what? Fear of what? Anyone wants to have a go? Achiphobia, fear of what? Achiphobia. Anyone who wants to take a guess? What is fear? Achiphobia. Harsha, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here only.
Any
Uh,
answers?
waiting. No, waiting for the answer, sir.
Okay, so I will
Fear
be
of
teasing
taking
you.
risks. Fear
Fear
of
of
taking
taking
risk,
risk.
fear of
Okay,
failure.
fear of failure, right? So the achievement is basically fear of failure. Achievement is fear of failure, and we are all afraid to fail. And teachers, if you think that your classroom is suffering from this fear, we have to look for symptoms, and the symptoms of achyphobia is fairly simple, right? A few slides back I gave you this word LKK, log kya kahenge. Fear of failure, the symptoms are, if you as teacher are using these words, are you crazy? Or you as teacher are using this word called just follow me, do it like this, right? Do it like this, aise karo, do it like this, right? Or parents or friends telling each other agar galat hua to, right? So these are the words, that these are phrases that people use, right? Ye yahan nahi ho sakta, this is not possible here, you can't do this thing here. And these are the phrases which really stop innovation. These are the phrases which really tell people that, listen, failure is not acceptable at my school, failure is not acceptable in my class, right? And we use various warning signals, right? Yeah, last time, this is the last time I'm telling you, last time that I'm telling you that you are trying to do this, otherwise, it's not acceptable, failure is not warranted, right? And if you're suffering from these phrases, it's a wake up call. It's a wake up call for all the educators, and that's the reason why we have something that I really want to talk about. So there is a whole mindset where we want our kids or students to be fail proof, right? 99%, 95% marks, fail proof, right? Versus we want our classrooms to become fail safe, right? Fail safe. Fail safe is a mindset where you want people to fail and learn from those failures such that they become fail safe, right? So trial and error is the art of building classroom which is fail safe, right? Whereas in fail proof, you don't even want people to try, you only are saying that do it like this is the only way of doing things, right? So these mindset we want to be broken, and these are applicable to all subjects across all classes in all classrooms, right? And that's something that we really want to you to do. Now, before I move to the second part of my presentation, here's an open-ended question to all the educators who are in this session. And the question is, how do we make a classroom where failure is encouraged? Can I request all teachers to use the chat box to put your answers, and Harsha will pick up a few of those questions. So I'm repeating the question: how can we make classrooms a place where failure is encouraged? I'm looking for great answers from you, teachers. And Harsha, help me out, please.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sir. Lure the child with something better but safe. Encourage questions.
Encourage questions. Questioning is important. Encourage questions. Yes.
Appreciate the efforts, not outcome.
Appreciate efforts. Fantastic. Around great answer. Any other
Don't
things?
condemn. Don't condemn failure.
Okay. Don't
Try
condemn
and try
failure.
until you succeed. Allow
Try.
out of the box thinking.
Okay.
Then stop children from talking and giving their views. Acceptance and empathy. No question is stupid. By deleting few terms, especially by encouraging participation. Firstly, check mental level. Find the opportunity in the failure by boosting their self confidence, by motivating them and praising them for every effort they put. Encouragement on participation.
Fantastic.
Motivate
So
when low.
Harsha, you have given great answers, and I'm only picking this thing called out of box thinking, right? And all of us have played this game of tic tac toe, where we think that only when you get these diagonals or when you get these lines, then it's a tic tac toe is complete. Whereas today kids are saying that if tic tac toe is like that, and if you can put a X here, then my straight line is complete, which is out of box thinking, right? And we really have to start thinking all the nice words that you have said right now, how do I make it practically possible in my classroom? With this, teachers, I take you to the second part of my presentation, and this is all about Youth Ideathon. So, Youth Ideathon, as I said, is a thing, is a national ideas competition that we are doing in partnership. Think Startup and Center are doing, and there are collaborators like CBSE, Tides Business Incubator of IIT Roorkee, MEPSC, etc., etc. And the theme of Youth Ideathon is Mera Idea Jo Badal De Bharat. So what we are asking is, we are asking school students to submit ideas which are ideas for change, the ideas that can transform India, and we really want to work with all educators like you to participate and motivate your students in Youth Ideathon. So I have put some two small URLs. It's on tinyurl.com YI teacher and tinyurl.com YI22 WhatsApp. So if you join WA, then you can join a WhatsApp community, you can join the teacher community, and we can guide you. 2001, we had 62,000, more than 62,000 participants students who submitted idea and Youth Ideathon, and fantastic things happen, right? Now, the idea of Youth Ideathon is to encourage school students to dream big and to give wings to their dream. It's also to help school students with prototyping support, to help them with incubation support, to help them with angel investment, and to build the entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem in schools. That's why Think Startup and Center, we have collaborated. Now, this competition is a 5-stage competition, and I really want you to look to wait for each of these 5 stages, because there is something very interesting for students and very interesting things are there for school teachers. The first stage is where students can submit transformative ideas on the Youth Ideathon portal. So there's an online portal, www.youthideathon.in, and if you go to that website, then there's a button which is called Submit Your Idea, Team Idea Submission Form. So students can go there and form teams and they can submit ideas. There are also forms for schools to register. So that's the first stage. The competition is already on. The last date to submit idea is 30th September. Earlier it was 20th September, but what we realized that many schools are going through midterm exams in India, and that's why we, along with CBSE and all the partners, we have extended the date to 30th September. Now, on 1st October, top 1,000 teams will be selected, and they'll be doing a video pitch, which will be evaluated by 200 evaluators all across India. These are ATL mentors of change, teachers of IITs, angel investors, all those kind of stuff, people who are there. Then we come to the third stage, where top 100 teams are selected for interview. It will be done on a Zoom interview, where it's about 30-minute interview, where teams will make presentation and experts will ask questions. Now, once this stage is done, then we select top 25 teams, and each of these teams get a prototyping award of 10,000 rupees, which will be distributed through schools. Plus, the teachers who are their mentors, they get a cash prize of 5,000 rupees, right? And this is the benefit award which is coming from Centa. Centa is incentivizing all the teachers for this, and this is something, a super motivation for all the teachers, right? It's a super recognition. This is a certificate which will also have CBSE and everyone together to be giving you the certificate. And then finally, the top 10 teams get an incubation grant of 1 lakh rupees, right? So this is Youth Ideathon. Ideas can be submitted on this website, www.youthideathon.in. And there are multiple awards. The first thing which I said was, now this date has become 30th September now. 30th September is the cutoff date, and the finals will be held on 20th October right. So the deadlines are on this website, has all the details. There are exciting awards. I really talked to you about the awards for top 25, top 10. There are Teacher of Innovation Awards. So if you are mentoring students who fall in top 100, there's Teacher of Innovation Award. If your students submit 100 If you submit 100 teams, you qualify for Teacher of Innovation Award. There are School of Innovation Award. Schools which submit 300 teams, they get a special trophy, Youth Ideathon School of Innovation Award. There's School of Innovation Award for schools which submit 100 teams. And then there are Teacher of Innovation Award, there are Students of Innovation Award, there's citation certificate, a lot of things are there, right? So we really want all teachers to be participating, helping students. Now, my last slide, how to submit ideas on Youth Ideathon. I already told you that every detail is available on the website youthideathon.in. Please go to that site. But before you go there, few things. Ask your students to make teams of 3 to 5 members. It's a team sport. It's not an individual thing. It's a team sport. Students shall be from class 4 to class 12, and before they go to the website, they have to keep basic details ready, such as email, mobile number, parent contact, and teacher mentor details, right? When they're armed with those details, then they have to brainstorm on 5 questions in their team. And those 5 questions are as follows. This is the only question which is a word-based, text-based answer. The remaining 4 questions are all MCQs, multiple choice questions, very easy to answer. So all teams need to describe their idea briefly, right? Nothing has to be uploaded. No video has to be uploaded at this stage. No documents have to be uploaded. Only some words have to be written in 3 to 5 sentences. Students have to describe the idea in brief. Then there are few multiple choice questions that they need to brainstorm. Once they are ready with these questions, then they need to go to the website, and this is the complete link, youthideathon.in, submit your idea. At that link, once they go, they can submit your idea, and all these details, biodata details of students will come. The answer to these 5 questions will come, and they need to fill. Tell them to put the mentor details without fail, because only then we can recognize the teachers of innovation. Only then Senta can recognize the teachers of innovation, and then the reward system kicks in. There are rewards for all the teachers whose students fall in top 100 also, right? If your students fall in top 1000, even then you get citations, right? So multiple awards. Last thing for all of us, participation in Youth Ideathon is completely free. It is completely free. Last date to apply is 30th September. And just in case you need any help, there's a WhatsApp helpline, and this is India number 9873474756. So this is the India number. This is how students can participate in Youth Ideathon. With this, Harsha, I am fully done with whatever I had to speak. I can end my slideshow, and I can take any questions that teachers might have.
Sure, sir. Sure. One of the teachers, he has joined from Ghana. So he was asking Mr. Eric. So he was asking, can he also be a part of this youth ideathon
Yes, yes,
competition?
yes, yes. We have participants coming from Thailand, Vietnam, Ghana, Dubai. So most welcome. Most welcome. Is that
Okay.
fine?
Yeah, waiting for the teachers to put up the questions in the chat box, sir.
So ensure that if you are the mentor, then your mentor details are filled in. And if you encourage you there's a lot of reward and recognition for teachers, right? Center and Think Startup have collaborated to recognize all the good work that you're doing, and this is your chance to shine and your chance to build innovation mindset in the student community, because you are the light which can change the world. It's always the big things that we have realized is big changes happen only through teachers. So we really want all teachers this time to be motivating young students right from class 4, grade 4 to grade 12. They can form teams, any class, across any cross section, form teams and submit ideas. Every idea has value. Don't be judgmental in telling them that this idea is not good and this idea is not bad. Don't do that at all, because what we have seen is very often at that stage we are actually killing good ideas which could be possible. But there are some exceptional innovators, mentors who are there, who are going to evaluate these ideas, and through that framework we will create a reward and recognition system where every idea gets filtered out and then keeps on moving to the top. And all the teachers who are supporting, there is a reward and recognition system by Centa and Think Startup, and along with all the sponsors who have collaborated in Youth Ideathon. So,
Yes, sir. There is
Harsha,
a
any?
question by Mr. Mani, sir,
Yeah.
teacher Mani. He's asking, we can teach our kids to celebrate the failure, but how will we make the parents understand? Any tips?
Fantastic question, Mani. Right? The real challenge is kids today, they are ready. It's the same bar chart that I showed you, right? Kids are ready to explore more, experiment more. And then this is a whole set of adults who believe that they know the ultimate truth, right? And I think the only change which can come is through teachers like you, who have to engage with those parents, bring them to classroom in the form of PTMs, right? When you are doing the next PTM, you have to talk to those parents and tell them that they have to allow room, they have to allow tolerance for failure. If parents don't allow this tolerance for failure, teachers don't allow this tolerance for failure, then what we are only doing is we are advocating normative behavior, not the experimentation or explorative behavior. So that's the job that we have to do. We have to be the force of change.
Thank you for the reply, sir. Deepthi ma'am is asking, teachers are responsible if something goes wrong. That is why they don't encourage sometimes. How can we handle this?
No, absolutely, Dipti ma'am. And I try to give you the answer, right? So the answer once again is when things go wrong, right? And let's say that there's a step-by-step process. There's a step-by-step process. Now, at what step things go wrong? Let's say things go wrong here at the highest point. Now, do you want the kid to fall on this side or you want to fall on this side? If the fall is managed on the other side, which is only one step down, then it is a less risky fall. But if you don't manage the fall and the fall happens on the risky side, then the implications of fall can be very adverse. So essentially, it is all about we as educators trying to design those falls in a manner that it is safe to fail, right? And all of us in our subject areas, in the teaching lessons, we can create those small falls, right? We don't want people to solve the problem completely wrong. Maybe they could, it's the first step or the second step or the third step where a child is doing the mistake. So if the child is doing the mistake at the second step, then you want him to or her to fall to the first step and then know that what's the mistake and then retry, right? So something of that sort has to be done.
Thank you for the reply, sir. Mohammed sir is asking, what type of ideas should be submitted so that they are accepted?
Hey, Mohammed, great question. We do not want to put any barriers to any imagination of the child. That's rule. That's the first fundamental principle of Youth Ideathon. So no barriers. Do not say that you have to give an agriculture idea, or do not say that you have to give an artificial intelligence idea, or do not say that you have to give a financial literacy idea, because these are the flavors of the season. you can give any idea and let the judges who are trained to evaluate the impact of idea make those judgments. There are incentives that some sponsors have put. For example, someone is giving special award for health related stuff. Someone is giving special award for sustainability stuff. Someone is giving special award for women related stuff. So all those small awards are there. But despite that, we do not want any curbs on the imagination. So allow it to be freewheeling, allow, motivate students to dream boldly, let them be brave. These should be things which can, have a scale impact, transformative. Mera idea jo badal de Bharat, ideas which can change. So only those guidelines, but let them be brave.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that reply. Miss Kaur is asking, some children have a very innovative mindset and not everyone can relate to them. How can they cope with this?
Fantastic. So, who has to cope? The child has to cope, ma'am, or we as parents have to cope, right? So this is, or teachers have to cope, right? The point that we are trying to advocate here, right? The point that we are trying to advocate here is to prepare all of us, one as educators, to cope up with those innovative kids who are there in your classroom, right? Which means that we have to be really open about them. We have to really accept the maverick stuff, or that these kids would be sharing in classroom, rather than dissuading them. And also to engage in conversations with parents, where we can tell parents that, listen, good to it is perfectly fine to listen to the unusual stuff that these kids are sharing, right? There's nothing wrong. And very often we have realized that through those unusual stuff, something great happens, right? So teachers, you can look at these two links. Do remember, go to these two links, join those two links, and we will certainly engage. And the website is www.youthideathon.in. As I said, there are 5 stages of the competition. Students can submit ideas. But any question, Harsha, more you have?
Sir, Mr. Mani is asking one more question, sir. Don't you think school leaders should also encourage school teachers? They should have freedom to think.
Absolutely. Money, without thinking, there's no teaching, right? And the real challenge that money is maybe trying to say is, when we have this boundaries, the hard boundaries of curriculum, then the navigational space to teach goes down, right? And smart teachers are those who are able to cross those boundaries and engage with students in a manner where they're able to sustain the interest of students. Also, it's more challenging for teachers to cross those boundaries. That's where learning happens, right? We have to be constantly pushing those boundaries, and without that, there's no learning, no learning, money. And truly appreciate what you're saying.
Sir, Shrikala ma'am is asking, like, she's telling, thanks to NEP 2020, that the students can select the subjects which they like to pursue, but it's difficult to convince the parents. How can it be possible?
So that's a real problem, right? You will have parents like me, right? And when you find parents like me, and who's so obsessed with let's say a JE exam, or a medical exam, and any ET exam, and now UGC has brought in this another exam, right? We are so obsessed with these exams that we keep on pushing our children just to follow that path, right? And the real thing, big change that has to be driven, is by all the teachers, right? And I'll give you an example, right? So think of sustainability, think of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, right? All parents were resisting these new changes which were brought in by policymakers, right? But it's only because of teachers like you that this whole sensitization to topics of environment, sustainability went from policymakers to young students, and perhaps from those young students to some parents. Most parents are still oblivious to this whole thing called sustainability, but seeds of change has now been sown by all educators like you. So parents might still be sleeping, but you have to sow the seeds of change.
Thank you for the reply, sir. One more question, sir, by Babita ma'am. She's asking to convince parents becomes more difficult in rural area. So how can we do it in the rural
I
area?
would I would disagree with Babita. Babita, this challenge is there all across, right? We are all parents, and our minds have been set, right? We have mind has been set in a particular manner. It's a generational gap, and it's a societal problem. But you are the agent of change, and your primary focus has to be on the student. Motivate them, create incentives to think boldly, bravely, share ideas, and of course things like youth hackathon. If a child from a rural area, let's say, wins youth hackathon, imagine the impact it's going to have in that society. So last year the winner of youth hackathon was a girl from Sitapur in UP, and it really brought in a whole lot of change in Sitapur. Now Sitapur is not Lucknow, Sitapur is not Gurgaon where I am in, right? Sitapur is Sitapur, right? But this year we find 10 schools of Sitapur participating in youth hackathon.
Thank you for the reply, sir. I think we have exhausted the question, sir.
Thanks to all the viewers, listeners who are in this listening to this session on Teachers Awareness Program, which is around how to build innovators mindset, and about Youth Ideathon. I covered two things. One is how to build innovators mindset. We really have to bring in the new generation of fearless dreamers, doers, and that's the task at hand for us as educators. We also have to work on our own scripts that we use in classrooms, and subconsciously we could be using statements and languages which could be detrimental to innovation or to creativity. So that's something that I really want all of us to be watchful about. And most importantly, I want all educators to be aware about Youth Ideathon, which is happening in a big way, and we want your support. Your support comes, of course, there'll be incentives for you, there'll be rewards for you, and we are all Centa and Think Startup join hand in seeking your support to bring as many students, and then also to see you at the reward function, which will happen on 20th October. With this, I close. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjeeva Shivesh, for a very engaging and informative session for our community of teachers. I am sure that our teachers have got a lot of takeaways from this session. Thank you so much, all the participants, for engaging with us today. To register for more such upcoming webinars, please visit My Center. Thank you once again, all the participants.
Thanks, Harsha.